Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a quick rant. I have to say I had a rather negative experience, not by any means related to the store that I went to, but um, here is my Benchmade Super Freak, absolutely great knife. This is on the short list of the very best EDC folders available on the market right now. I absolutely love it. It's a huge win. Um, However, I went into I was actually meeting a friend at Cabela's. He was buying a rifle and wanted me to kind of check it out and I always go over. They've had some 22 ammo in stock, so the CCI 300 packs. My habit has been every time I pass Cabela's, I just pull in and buy one because they seem to they're not mini megs or something else. Anyway, I can't remember off the top of my head, but they do seem to run pretty nicely in all my semi-autos. So, um, picked up a pack of ammo from Cabela's, and I went over to the knife counter, and they happened to have the two new Benchmades that I was interested in: the Tag Out and the Readout or Red Out. Um, I looked at him in the cabin. The price point was really high. Now, I'm in Canada. The prices at Cabela's are usually pretty high. But since that time, I went over to White Mountain Knives. I went to Blade HQ, went to DLT Trading, a couple other places, and the prices are high everywhere. So I looked at the Benchmade Tag Out first. And I have to say, it felt so cheap and so small in my hand. The blade steel was like paper thin, maybe 3/16. No, I don't even know I don't even think it would have been that thick. I was deeply disappointed in that knife because I really like the design. I think Benchmade did a decent job of offering a compelling um, hunting knife, at least in the design portion, but in the implementation, total fail. It felt like, man, the knife felt so thin and so cheap that it felt like, remember when Apple, there was a big thing about Apple phones being so weak that if you put them in your back pocket, just the bending at the waist and your butt kind of sticking out would bend the phone and ruin it. That's how I felt about this knife. Like, it was so thin, and I get they're going for lightness, but there are lots of ways, and there are lots of lightweight knives out there that really achieve a great lightweight, easy to carry form factor without feeling like a piece of total garbage. And that's really what that knife felt like. I it even crossed my mind when I saw it in the thing. I thought, I might even buy this knife. And when I got it in hand, I was like, no, there's no way. I don't buy a lot of knives in Canada, and I certainly don't buy a lot of knives from Cabela's because the price point is ridiculous. And just in Canada in general, it almost doesn't make sense to be into knives because the prices are stupidly high, like outrageously high. Um, by the way, much more than you can even account for by talking about import fees and that kind of thing. So anyway, that's besides the point. My main issue here is the complete failure of Benchmade. So I look at the 154 cm steel on the tagout was decent, but it was such a thin piece of steel again that it just was off-putting. The action on both of them was okay. Let's switch gears and talk about the readout now, or the red out. Um, it felt a little better in hand, but still didn't feel like this. Okay, like G10 is a at this point you should not be making a knife that isn't G10. All right, and the price point that Benchmade is charging now. I will say again, keep in mind I was in Cabela's, I'm in Canada, but this knife right here at Cabela's is like $450. Like, it's absolutely asinine. Anyway, so I pick up the red out and I'm looking at it again. It's this stupid grivery. That material just needs to die. Okay, unless you're Cold Steel, who knows how to do it right, you just cannot use it. If you're a knife maker, just take the list of materials that you have in your drop down menu, delete Grivery and forget about it. Like, please, there's no reason for using that. Now, again, and I've said this before, and I've had this rant in the past, but for some reason, Benchmade, and even to some degree, back when I said this the last time, I was talking about the Endura Delica from Spyderco, but G10 is not that expensive. You can't just put G10 in a knife and suddenly it costs double the price. Like, if anyway, there. Here's how I'm going to sustain my comment. All right, there are knives that cost $50. There are knives that cost $70 that have G10 handles. Okay, so clearly the material is not that outrageously expensive that you need to double or quadruple the price of your knife by putting G10 on it. That's stupid, and only Benchmade does it. So anyway, uh, then comes, and here's part of the reason I think I'm a little salty about this. I really liked both designs, both the red out and the tag out. And I really wanted to enjoy them. I wanted to add them to my collection. I wanted to do positive reviews. I wanted to put them in my pocket and carry them and get that typical joy that I get from a well-made knife. And I was so deeply disappointed. So the red out certainly didn't feel as chintzy and stupid as the tag out, but it still felt pretty chintzy. It was obvious that this is not a good, robust material. And yeah, I know you're going to push back in the comments. Grivery is pretty tough, and their gun handles made out of polymer and all this kind of stuff. Okay, fine. Nonetheless, it felt like a cheap kid's toy. Okay, not as bad as the tag out, but not as good as it could have been or should have been, considering all of the Benchmades that already exist that don't feel like that. Right? They obviously know how to do it. They just chose not to. So the other big issue with the tag out is it's D2 steel, for crying out loud. Right? There was a time that the Benchmade Griptilian was in D2 steel, like way back when D2 was a really, really good steel. I mean, it's still a decent steel, but it's a budget steel at this point. There's no reason to put that on any knife over $100. And the red out was when I looked on US sites, it was like $170. And it's a shame. Okay, even S30V, S35VN, S45VN, the only thing I can think of is that Benchmade is marketing these knives. People don't know anything about knives or care anything about knives. Like, they're just hoping that these people will walk into Cabela's and go, "That's a cool looking knife. It's a Benchmade. It's expensive, so it must be good." And, just drop the $200 without doing any research or without being part of the knife community or knowing anything about it. It's the only reasonable explanation I can come up with. Long story short, guys, I was so disappointed in those two knives that not only am I not going to buy one and, not going to get one for a review, but it made me almost actively a little bit angry, largely, again, because of my disappointment. But there it is. Two huge fails from Benchmade that I even think I put them in my most anticipated knives of 2022. I was looking forward to these being good knives, useful knives, and instead Benchmade just crapped the bed. So sorry to see it happen. I don't know what the thought process was on those two knives. Like, it's absolutely perplexing to make that kind of trash and then market it and then price it at like $200. All right. And I'm rounding, okay, but like $175 or $178 or something stupid like that. You may as well call it $200. So that's my little rant about the two Benchmades that I stopped at Cabela's and checked out. Utterly disappointing. Truly a fail on Benchmade's part. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now that I've gotten this off my chest, I feel a lot better. I can rant to you guys. If you think I'm completely nuts and you own one of these knives and think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, or maybe the greatest thing for slicing bread, let me know down in the comments. But I can't imagine why anyone who knows what they're getting and knows what's available in the marketplace would buy those knives. There you go. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you later.